Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we are talking Week 16 waiver wires for the defense position. So if you've been streaming defenses all week, you got gifted in Week 16. Really good slate of good teams to play this week that are pretty low owned across most leagues. So give you the quick rundown for those of you that just need to know who to pick up, who to set a claim for. I love the Colts this week playing Carolina and Will Grier. The Broncos playing against David Blau is another good option. Chargers playing Oakland, the losers over there that can't even win in their final game in Oakland. The Giants have been a sneaky good defense. They get to play the Redskins this week. And then number 5, the Falcons getting to play the Jaguars, who have been imploding. All great options this week. Okay, well, let's go into a little bit more depth for those of you that are into that kind of stuff and care why you're making a waiver pickup and not just doing what other people are saying to do. Start with number 5, Atlanta versus Jacksonville. Now, Atlanta is 7% owned. They haven't been a great fantasy defense most weeks, but the past couple weeks they've been okay. They've been getting better on defense as the year goes on, and Jacksonville has allowed seventh most points to the fantasy defense in the last 5 weeks. The only conniption I have with starting the Falcons this week is if DJ Chark comes back. That definitely gives the Jaguars a little bit more juice, but I think Atlanta is going to have a pretty decent game in this one. If they're the only team out there on this list, I definitely have no problem starting them, but wanted to make sure we threw them out there because Jacksonville is not very good. Number 4, we're looking at the New York Giants. Now, New York has sneakily gotten better as the season went on for fantasy defenses. They started out pretty bad, and over the past couple weeks, they've been really good against the run, and they've actually been forcing quite a few interceptions in the past couple weeks. So enter the Washington Redskins with Dwayne Haskins. Now, Dwayne Haskins had a pretty good game, but he was playing the Eagles, who can't defend against the quarterback or the wide receivers for anything this year. The Giants are not as much of pushovers against the wide receiver position, and I think Dwayne Haskins goes back to his interception and fumble throwing ways in this one. So I think the Giants are actually a pretty sneaky defense. Only reason they're not higher for me this week is because they're on the road. Can tend to be harder to start defenses on the road, but that doesn't always matter. Look at what the Vikings did to the Chargers in LA last week. So I like the Giants a lot in this one. All right, number 3, we have the Chargers versus the Raiders. Chargers are 40% owned, so not out there in every league, but definitely worth checking to see if they are. The Raiders have just been imploding. I think they've lost 4 in a row now, at least 3. And the Chargers have been a really good defense all year. This last week, they didn't lose to the Vikings because of their defense. They lost because their offense committed 7 turnovers. I don't think that's going to happen against the Oakland Raiders. They're not very good at forcing turnovers, and I think that the Chargers end up having a pretty good day on defense, so they're a good floor play with a decent ceiling if they can force a few picks from Derek Carr. All right, number 2, we have Denver. They're 24% owned, and they are playing the Detroit Lions this week in Denver. David Blau had a pretty decent showing on Thanksgiving against Chicago, and then since then, he's been just absolutely putrid. We know that Jeff Driscoll is on IR, and then they just placed Matt Stafford on IR today, so we know we're going to get another game of David Blau, and I think the Broncos are just going to tear into him. I feel bad for David Blau. He didn't think that this was going to happen, but Denver has been pretty good against quarterbacks, and Detroit has given up the 4th most fantasy points to the opposing defense in the last 5 weeks. I think that trend continues this week with Denver. Hopefully they get a pick 6 for you. That would definitely carry over the top, but I think it's likely that they get quite a few sacks and hopefully a couple turnovers. And then the number 1 defense stream on the week is going to be the Indianapolis Colts against the Carolina Panthers. Now, you kind of have to not have recency bias when you make this pickup, just based on the way that the Colts played against the Saints, where they couldn't do anything on either offense or defense, but the Panthers are not the Saints. The Panthers are benching Kyle Allen, who had already been playing pretty bad, for their 3rd-string quarterback, Will Grier, who we haven't seen play, but that typically doesn't go over too well, especially when a team is traveling. So this game is in Indianapolis. So I'm definitely excited to start the Colts in this one. at home against a quarterback that's never played or never started a game in the NFL. And then in the last 5 weeks, Carolina has allowed the most fantasy points to opposing defenses. I look for that trend to continue. Look for Darius Leonard to get quite a few sacks in this one. I think that there's a high likelihood of multiple turnovers, and again, you're always hoping for that pick six. So I think the Colts are a great stream this week. But anyway, I hope this helped you guys. We're just looking to help you guys get those fantasy titles this week, give you some quick information so that way you can get back to your busy lives. If you like this, please like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.